reflect that of the staff and management of WNOV and W293 CX 106.5 FM Courier Communications Milwaukee, but are the sole comments of the host and guest of this particular show.
All right, happy Tuesday, y'all. Welcome back to Be a Voice Radio, Wisconsin Voices. You are with Bryan, and go ahead,
start off right off the bat,
off the bat, man. You got to shoot from the hip. If you don't, it sounds more natural anyway. So
exactly, Joe Dre, Policy Director for Wisconsin Voices.
Yes, community outreach organizer for Wisconsin Voices. I've almost forgot who I was. Yeah. Hey, what's up, y'all? We are back with another special. No guests this week. We'll be bringing you back with guests next week. We got to get them right and schedules. Folks be having jobs, and little old me thinking I can just grab anybody when it's when it's time. What does that say? I'm a little spoiled in some spaces. Hey, are you gonna show up right away?
Yeah,
they want logistics.
Folks are busy.
Yeah, they are, and I'm grabbing folks that are real life busy, like got a whole bunch of stuff already going on. So that's me. I'm sorry, guys. I'll get back to y'all and everybody else that we'll be having on in the future. I got some ideas I want to run past. Not just Joe, but myself, the team, and everybody else. And then Joe had a good idea as well. What did you say yesterday on the call?
What did I say?
You forgot?
Yeah.
You wanted to bring a certain group of people on.
Oh, yeah. I would definitely like to bring on our staff, the rest of our staff that you don't hear every day on the radio, the folks working behind the scenes, behind in the background, some of them in the forefront too.
Of course.
But that doesn't come on the show very often to, just talk about their positions and what they do and how they contribute to everything we do at Wisconsin Voices. I think it'd be a great idea to let everyone kind of meet the team.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, why not? You got to put, a face to the name. We name drop them again. We do want to shout out the whole team, Angelique, Nicole, Lanisha, of course, Zoe, and myself, and Joe. Me. I'd be extra. I'd be extra in studio. But yeah, we want to just shout out everybody for working hard, doing what they got to do behind the scene and, on the front lines too. Before we get into the political game and the civics and everything in between, the Bucks play today.
They do.
Yeah, so the Bucks are back at it. If you're not in the loop of the basketball, the Bucks are on their first round playoff game against the Indiana Pacers. Put all that energy out there for our team. We need them to respond. And the big thing today, Dame Dollar
is he back?
Damian Lillard will be back in rotation today. So we want to say shout out to Dame, shout out to the Milwaukee Bucks, shout out to all the Bucks fans in the city. Anytime we make the playoffs, it's a big deal. Anytime that we can get out the first round, which it looks like they'll be battling to get out this first round. Yeah. Indiana is trying to come to play. So we got a nice game today. I know Jermaine is looking forward to that.
Yeah, I'm going to the game Friday. I got my seats.
You got your tickets, big dog?
Yes, sir.
I'm going Sunday.
On the flow.
I'm going,
flow, baby.
What? I'll be there Sunday.
$400.
You going Sunday?
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, so Sunday. Wait, Friday? They play Friday and Sunday.
Friday and Sunday.
Okay, yeah. Let me snatch.
Hey, yeah, man, go and jump in, man. They got some nice,
I see
up close, seats for like $200-$300.
Yeah, my bro, Dante, who we had on from a renovation, revitalized Milwaukee. He was saying that he caught some really nice, and sometimes he send me these links, and sometimes I don't pay attention right away, and then he's like, man, I caught these 2 for $60. I'm like, oh, playoff game. Yeah,
I'm telling you, the Bucks make it very affordable to go down there and watch a game.
Man, look, it wasn't always like that. The last couple of years, it just went down a little bit. It was, and then the further it goes into the series, you're gonna see those nosebleeds start hitting 150, 160.
So I'm not paying that for playoffs. I'll watch it from home,
right?
For that, but I've noticed there's been a couple times we went down to the game and picked up tickets for like $10.
Yeah,
You know, up in
I
the
see some $5
top,
ones
which
the
is
other
where
week.
I like to sit anyways. I like
Yeah.
to be up there at the top. And it's kind of,
You like the top?
yeah, it's kind of back, and it's still great seats.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
it's
It was
still great seats up
so,
there.
so I'm sure you never went to the Bradley Center prior to.
No.
So the Bradley Center, you know, they blew that up and destroyed that. You know, they gave us the Pfizer Forum, but the Bradley Center was built for hockey. So the family that, you know, I guess owned or built the Bradley Center was trying to bring an NHL team into the city.
Okay.
But I guess it ended up working out for the Bucks. But it had a steep incline. You know, it was. I mean, you felt like you was kind of walking up. I want to say it's not as bad as some arenas, but yeah, it was the layout was different. It had that more concrete arena type of vibe. You know what I'm talking about? Like,
I know exactly
70s,
what you're talking
80s,
about. Yeah.
you know, early 90s vibe. You know how I feel, that nostalgia of going to a sports game, that football. You know, it was good for they did their updates where they could, but man, that Pfizer Forum. I mean, I caught me a part-time job that first season.
Oh wow.
I had to get up in there some way, somehow. And that was the most games I've been to in the season. And that was the most exclusive opportunity to work, you know, as far as on the floor and working with some of the guys that looked out for me. I met a Dominican brother that worked for the Bucks. He looked out for me, gave me, like, you know, open seats when, you know, they need the seat fillers. So the seat filler opportunity came with, you know, being able to go back to the VIP and eat some of the food, you know, and have some of the special drinks that they got. So yeah, I enjoyed that first season. It smelled like a brand new car in there. That's gone now, but for like a year and some change, maybe 2 years, it had that new arena smell. So I just wanted to say all that to just shout out to the Bucks. You know, that's their special. That arena was made specifically for the Bucks. So shout out to the team today. You know, do what you got to do in Indiana, and you know, show them that fear the deer energy, because we need it.
Represent the city for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So Joe, looks like we got some topics today, some conversation.
We do. Today we want to talk about nonprofits and making a difference together.
Okay.
You know, if anyone didn't know already, Wisconsin Voices is a nonprofit agency. Like I said, we was talking about it earlier as well, you know, getting into what everyone's role is, what we do at Wisconsin Voices, and how we're going to move forward. So just wanted to recap real quick yesterday. We talked a lot about bills and policy and legislation. Just want to make sure folks remember that there is a Senate floor debate today at noon, right after this show. So you can go tune in to wisi.org. You can watch that Senate floor hearing and try to stay up to date on all the bills that are going through our Wisconsin legislature.
Yeah.
So
good info.
Also wanted to say, Bryan, today is a special day.
What's up?
It's Earth Day.
Yeah. I thought that was yesterday.
Nope. It's today.
Okay.
Today is Earth Day. So do your part, I guess. There's always a lot of trash around. You know, wherever you see it, pick it up. If you can get out there and help out and do your part, just to chip in a little bit and make the world a little bit cleaner. At least the world that we live in, right?
Oh yeah, no, I agree. I mean, I think definitely today I'm gonna swoop past the neighborhood, the family neighborhood as I call it, go over there and remove some extra debris and trash off the premises.
Right.
For the fam, just because, you know, it's just a good day to do it. And plus, like you say, anywhere else, you know, it's a lot of that, you know, unfortunately, we got a lot of people who just think the whole world is basketball net. So
yeah, we was actually talking about that yesterday after the show a little bit about, you know, trash and picking up trash and not littering and just throwing your stuff out the car window.
Yes.
Yeah, but today we want to talk a little bit about what Wisconsin Voices does. And Bryan, we built a lot of community through our organization and through empowering other organizations as well. I think you're definitely kind of an expert on building community. You're out there in the community so much.
Yeah,
you're reaching out.
Yeah.
But at Wisconsin Voices, we don't just organize, we build community. So for us, it starts with real relationships, not transactions. We believe the strongest movements are rooted in trust, connection, and shared purpose. And we live that in everything we do. You agree with that, Bryan?
Yeah, I believe that if it's genuine and if that's what we saying we doing, we got to make sure that we sticking to that, you know, and I think that we've shown that, and I think that's the whole I would say the the main goal and focus of the partners that, you know, I recruit or try to find are ones that are really in it, or try to look at ones that are really in it for the greater cause, you know, not for the personal gain. You know, the personal will come with the work, you know, and what you do. But yeah, I think that those relationships, real relationships, and not just the transactional, it just sticks better when I can show up for you being Joe, not just because, you know, when I do this, Joe's gonna make sure I get to speak at the, you know, with him at the hearing next week or something like that. So, and it, you know, it doesn't have to be monetary transactional for the organization. It could be, you know, what can Joe do for me, or what can Bryan do for me, or whoever else inside or outside the organization. Those genuine relationships, you know, especially in this work, helps you go further.
Yep. And that goes right into what we're talking about next is, you know, we lead with trust and relationships. Before strategy, before events, before campaigns, before we do anything, we lead with people. We take time to build real relationships with our partners and community members, and we show up consistently, not just when there's an election or an urgent policy fight. We do all kinds of different things. We do trainings, and we always put people first. And that's something that you know, we did just last week was or what was it, 2 weeks ago, when we convened all of our partners and we kind of listened to their feedback and what was going on in the community and what their needs were. And not only that, but how can we assist and how can we lift you up and build?
Yeah. And we'll break it down and meet with you on an individual level too. You know, we'll meet with you know, that was a convening for, you know, the, you know, 20 some odd partners, you know, next time we get the rest of you guys. But, you know, meeting one-on-one, me and Angelique went and had a meeting at a diner recently, this past weekend, this past Friday, actually, with a partner, you know, just to, you know, lay out what route Wisconsin Voices is going, where can we collab, what are some of the things that we see for each other, what, you know, and then just to clear the air, you know. I believe she was just, you know, that day her tone was, you know, a little sharp, you know. Shout out to, you know who you are. But, you know, we all cleared that up too. It was all in fun though. But that's being able to have that relationship. Also, you know, hopping into this work, I built a relationship with this specific partner already. So it was nice just being able to talk to her and actually, you know, joke around. And she's like, "Oh, did it come off like that?" I'm like, "No, you know, I'm joking." But it kind of did. But it didn't. But it kind of did. You know what I'm saying? But that's the type of relationship you have. And, you know, those, like you said, you know, be able to get stuff done and be able to clear the air better. So, you know, in the work and outside the work again.
And that's like building an organic relationship, nothing that's like actually forced. It's like starting from the ground up and really building those organic relationships where it's like, hey, you know, we have a history together now. I always say that good relationships can't be built on a handshake or on one meal or one meeting together. It takes a series. It takes a series of meetings. You know, maybe you go for coffee this time, you shake a hand and you move on, and now you're having a 1 hour sit down. You know, over time you build that rapport and those relationships with those folks, and that's what allows us, I think, to really interject and help where we're needed.
Yeah, I agree.
So another thing we do is we uplift communities to lead themselves. You know, we're not out there standing on a soapbox saying this is how things need to be done and this is how you do it and let me show you. It's kind of the way we approach things is let us listen, let us see where we can help. Let's collaborate together and let's move forward and help you reach your goals. One of the ways we're doing that this year is through a democracy defense coalition. So that's one way that we're bringing folks to the table, and we're bringing them all together to talk about ways that we can protect our democracy and our rights to vote.
Yeah.
So we bring in different we try to bring in different strengths to the table. We align around core goals as well. Even if our organization has different day-to-day missions, we agree on the basics so that everyone should have the right and ability to vote. We can all agree on that. Election results must be respected. Disinformation and suppression have no place in our communities, and we need fair maps, fair courts, and fair access to the ballot. I think those are some things that we can all kind of get behind. Another thing that the Democracy Defense Coalition does is it is a rapid response to threats, so we can help mobilize through press conferences, press releases, actions, public statements. One of the exciting things that we're doing as well is we're offering advocacy training. to help people lobby their representatives and their local elected officials. So a lot of folks don't know where to start, where to go, who to call, how do I go about it. So we're going to offer that training and kind of break down some of those barriers between constituents and their elected officials, so that we kind of remove that stigma of, I can never go talk to them. I can never just show up at my state representative's or my state senator's office and say, hey, I have this need. Yeah, you can. And we're going to train you up and show you how to do that effectively, and be, so you don't just walk in there and say, here's my need, and it's not completely effective, and it kind of falls on deaf ears. This way it's effective and your message is received in the way that it should be. So, so some great things that we're doing through the Democracy Defense Coalition. We're protecting the rights to vote, shaping policy and public opinion as well. And the most important thing is we build trust across communities. We bridge silos, faith groups, youth organizations, immigrant advocates, climate justice groups. We bring them together around one vision where we all thrive. And I think that's kind of the overall theme there, is bridging those tearing down the silos and bridging the gaps is what we do at Wisconsin Voices. And that's what we try to do through the Democracy Defense Coalition. So, Bryan, you have some exciting stuff coming up this summer as well that you're going to be working on.
Yeah. We getting back into the thick of connecting with the partners, and I'm looking forward to working with some of the organizations, or a lot of the organizations, and having these different events and forums, and really getting out there and strategizing with the ones, and assisting them with their plans. Biggest thing for me again is just aligning with these new partners. One of the bigger things, aligning with these new partnerships as well. Looking forward to that. I know every summer, it's events that that we can connect with somebody from the community when it comes to aligning for a voter registration, and get out the vote campaigns, and I have some ideas for some things that I want to see happen between some of our partners that we haven't worked with like that. So and I think that a lot of our new people, or some of the people that are some of our new organizations, they're beginning some cool things off the ground. I think sometime next week I'm gonna have one of the partners, Lupus Has No Face, just talk about what they have going on with one of their events, and then a couple other partners that are trying to come on and speak about some things going on. So it's exciting that everybody's starting, they're hitting the ground running in the spring, and then that summer it's going to be action packed. So
excited, man.
Get out that vote, and get some of these youth, and I'm also looking forward to speaking with a lot of the youth this summer as well. Got a lot of young ones that need to be paying attention, because the next 4 years is going to shape their lives and change a lot of things in their life.
Absolutely. So some of the other things that we do at Wisconsin Voices is we're working with an organization to try to bring in storytelling training, where we can teach people to effectively tell their stories. That's going to be that's going to be pretty cool. I'm looking forward to that one. Another great thing that Wisconsin Voices can do for nonprofits and for our partner organizations is we share tech and tools, as well as infrastructure and data with other organizations. And if anybody that's in nonprofit organizations, they understand how important those things are. A lot of times, some of the organizations that we work with are really small or just starting out, so they don't have all this money for infrastructure to host a database, or to build a database, to buy all the neat tech and tools that make their job easier. That's where Wisconsin Voices can really step in and help out, and make sure that folks have the tools, the tech, the infrastructure, and everything that they need to continue to build up. And I think once we have Zoe on, and Angelique will really be able to speak a lot more to those tech and tools, and to the data aspect of that, and how that really plays out, and how we implement that across the organization. Bryan, do you agree that we make room for healing and joy when we're out in the community, when we're doing our things?
No, No, I was playing now. I think that you have to have some empathetic uh traits
Mm-hmm.
in this work to understand the severity of the consequences of not participating or engaging in some of the votes or some of the things that are happening community wise. Like you have to understand what's going on. Like
Right.
you just can't hop up in this and think, it has to be built up over time. This was, built up for me over time, understanding the systems and looking at working in some of these systems. So
Mm-hmm.
uh yeah, you have to have the emotional space, and then you have to, I think we give that to ourselves, we give that to our team. So yeah, we have to be able to give that to the community.
Yep.
A space for you to, if you want to, say how you feel, or if you want to, come in and, I mean, you've seen it.
Yeah, we've
Man,
had some
look,
hurting people that have
yeah,
come off the street and come
yeah,
into our office and said, struggling with to keep either their organization going or
yeah.
struggling, just to make it through the day sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, look, you've heard a couple times where folks got to chew to me a little bit,
Yeah.
and I'll just be sitting, and I've always, I've worked in this field of having to have the awkward conversations, or the people upset with you over, something that you ain't had nothing to do with. I didn't cause any of those issues that day. I mean, you were the closest witness,
Right.
but that was a person that was going through something emotionally in another space. The biggest thing is not to, match energy with energy,
Yep.
in that situation. Sometimes you got to, but in that situation, give that person that space and give them the opportunity, and we've had it with the young man that came and, was working with us, and he was going through a lot of things as well. He was another one that was, a little more off the handles, or the hand brakes, whatever, off the chain, as we would say, than some other people that we've had that were a little upset. And, we work with them. So I believe that we have given the space for people to, be themselves, and also maybe a little bit more than I would have, to.
Yeah, I think it's a good
it's
a good welcoming environment. When I first came to Wisconsin Voices,
how did you feel? Did you feel like it was fake?
No,
Okay.
not at all.
Was it real?
Actually, especially when you're going around and interviewing jobs across the country in different places, and you always hear the thing, well, we're all like family. We're all like family. It wasn't until I came to Wisconsin Voices that I really understood what a workplace that can really truly feel like family when you're there. Everybody looks out for each other, and we all work together towards a common goal, and that's lifting up our communities right here in Milwaukee and across the state of Wisconsin. So yeah, wow, Bryan.
Joe, Joe, did you practice that, Joe? Did you practice that?
I did not.
Okay, because I know you was in the political world for a little bit. No, that was real. I like that. I appreciate you for sharing.
That was absolutely real. One last thing.
Joe sounding real polished over there with them responses.
Well, I appreciate that, Bryan.
Oh, you got you, man. You already know. We're gonna need that. We're gonna need that at the Capitol.
And one last thing before we go to a break here. We like to stay grounded in local voices. We know that every corner of Wisconsin is different. That's for certain.
Mm-hmm.
Even different corners of Milwaukee is different.
That is a fact.
So we need to listen deeply, and that's what we try to do. What Milwaukee needs might not be the same thing that Madison or Green Bay or even anywhere else, or even the other side of town needs. So that's why we don't just show up with all the answers. We listen first, and then we move forward together. And that's what we do at Wisconsin Voices. So we're going to take a quick break. Thank you guys for being with us on Wisconsin Voices, Be a Voice. This is WNOV 860 AM, 106.5 FM. We'll be right back.
AURN News.
I'm Jamie Jackson. President Trump has renewed his criticism of Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell, calling for immediate interest rate cuts despite the Fed's independence. In a Truth Social post Monday morning, the president cited lower energy costs and food prices as evidence that inflation is no longer a concern, writing, quote, "There is virtually no inflation." Trump went on to characterize Powell as, quote, "Mr. Too Late" and a major loser, while claiming the Fed chair had previously purposely timed rate cuts to help his political opponents in the last election. Markets reacted swiftly to the president's comments. Wall Street saw steep declines throughout Monday's trading, with the dollar falling to a 3-year low against major currencies. This escalation comes as the administration continues to navigate economic challenges stemming from its trade policies, particularly its trade war with China. For AURN News, I'm Jamie Jackson.
Here's your updated forecast. We'll see a few spotty rain showers at times here for today, with partial sunshine developing and a high in the mid-50s. Winds out of the southeast around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Then for tonight, mostly cloudy, a low near 43. By Wednesday, a chance for some showers and thunderstorms, cloudy, high of 62 degrees. And Thursday, a slight chance for rain, cloudy, high around 57. Friday, chance for rain showers, high 54. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on AM 860, The Voice.
Remembering what we stand for. At Wisconsin Voices, we remember what we stand for. Check out our movement dedicated to empowering citizens and shaping the future. Engage with us on our website, social media, and podcast to make a difference. Visit wisconsinvoices.org. Explore our events calendar, like and subscribe to us on social media. Listen to recent podcasts and radio, and subscribe to our email and newsletter. Amplify your voice and be a voice today.
You're listening to Wisconsin Voices Be a Voice Radio. Follow us at BAWI Voice and learn more at wisconsinvoices.org.
Wisconsin Voices' 3 pillars are protecting democracy. Your vote is your voice. Wisconsin Voices works to protect democracy in Wisconsin by fighting voter suppression, promoting voting rights, and ensuring fair elections for all. Teaching advocacy. Teaching advocacy empowers and educates advocates in Wisconsin by offering training, resources, and support to enhance their skills, fostering a more informed and effective advocacy community for social and economic change. Building community. Wisconsin Voices builds strong communities for a healthy democracy by collaborating with diverse partners, creating networks for positive change, and fostering a sense of belonging and common purpose. Learn more about Wisconsin Voices by going to wisconsinvoices.org. Learn more about what our partners are doing by visiting the events calendar. Listen to recent episodes by going to our podcast and radio. Get involved today.
860 AM, 106.5 FM. WNOV, The Voice.
All right, y'all. We are back via Voice Radio, Wisconsin Voices, WNOV 860, 106.5 FM. We're just talking about, who Wisconsin Voices are, who they are, we are. Where we're going.
We're a part of it.
We are. Yeah.
Sure, the whole communities of it.
Yeah.
Everybody's a part of Wisconsin Voices, right?
Right.
I mean, not just us.
Nah.
I think everybody's kind of a part of it.
Yeah. And that's what we're trying to do is make it more inclusive. So are we leaving off at, or which spot are we in?
Well, we were talking about nonprofits, to start. That's part of the discussion today. So talking about, why nonprofits are important in Milwaukee. Why are places like Wisconsin Voices, why are people like our partners important to the community? So in Milwaukee, I think nonprofits are the heartbeat of the community. They do more than just provide services. They build trust, heal traumas, fill gaps left by the broken system, and leave a lasting change. These organizations are woven into the fabric of Milwaukee, especially in communities that have been historically underfunded, over-policed, or overlooked. So I would definitely agree with that. Some of the we have some wonderful partners that do great work in the community, not just only in services, but in civics as well, helping get folks registered to vote, help getting them rides to the polls. We have folks out there offering mental health services. We have people offering childcare services. So it's every single one of our partners, including Wisconsin Voices as well, plays their own significant role in making sure that the community doesn't get left behind, making sure underrepresented people don't get left behind. And that's why one of the reasons why they're so important and why they're so connected to the communities, because they're closest to the people. When we talk about elected officials sometimes being disconnected, you hear that term that my elected officials disconnected. They don't understand what I'm going through. But trust me, these nonprofits that are working in these sectors, they definitely know what you're going through because they've probably been through it themselves. And we've seen that several times, Brian, when in executive directors that have went through the same situation that they're trying to help other people out with, whether it's sexual assault and they're out there trying to help other folks, whether it's providing a shelter. A lot of the people that start these organizations come from homelessness, so they're close to the people, and that's why they're always good trusted allies when we need to go back and be like, what's the community thinking? What's going on with homelessness? What's going on with uh, uh, civic engagement in this community? Why aren't we seeing an increase? Well, talk to the nonprofits, talk to the people on the ground doing the work, and I think that you'll find your answer.
Yeah.
They also fill critical gaps. Nonprofits step in where the system fails. I think we could probably point to a few different scenarios where the system has failed throughout history, and nonprofits have stepped up. They provide mental health care, job training. Brian, you worked in some of that, didn't you? Some of the workforce development stuff, voter education, youth programs, housing assistance, and more. They offer more than just services. They offer stability, dignity, and a sense of belonging to thousands of people right here in Milwaukee. And they build power, not just programs. Many Milwaukee nonprofits go beyond service deliveries. They organize. And we have some partners as well that do a phenomenal job at organizing. We actually have our organizer right here in the booth today.
In the building. Right. Community outreach organizer trying to organize some. Look, just even behind the scenes, working with some of the partners and hearing, like I was on a call yesterday with one for like 30 minutes and, just ideas and things that she wants to do to, bring the youth in, and also engage them in voting and talk about it. And she's like, I just want you to stop through. It's in May, it's another event, and again, I appreciate all of y'all for just inviting me out and trusting in my views and opinions on voter registration, getting out the vote. What can we do to enhance the vote? It means a lot to me because, anytime I can talk to any group of young adults, my age group or younger or ones older than me, it's important to me for to get out that importance of that. We can't, the only way I know about this voting is watching who was taking me to the polls, who's tuning into elections. You can't really just give it all to the school system because we see they, some school systems or some areas have slipped on civic engagement or just, keeping kids aware and young adults aware. But, the organizers, the organizations, the ones that are, putting together these events that are passionate about it. She was passionate about the conversation. This was Rhonda Stover. She was passionate about, getting these kids out. Let's do this, let's speak to them, and, she always has great ideas. With bringing them together. And I'm like, hey, let's do it, put together, bring in whoever else, and she mentioned you yesterday too. So yeah, and then we got the text message.
Well, I was gonna
say,
chat. We got into a group
so
chat.
You knew you came up in the mix yesterday somewhere. Yeah. So yeah, and that's what it's about, bringing in everybody and seeing where we can enhance this, whatever it is, even if it's just a 2-3 hour, sit down and draw some, some signs or something and talk to the kids and feed them a couple of snacks, let them know that, look, we care about you. We want you to understand, that something else is caring about you, even though you may not care about it right now.
Exactly. And it's like, I've been blown away by some of our partners and some of the work that they do day in and day out. There's a lot of them, like you said, a lot of them have jobs too. They have full-time jobs. And then after their jobs, they go out and they volunteer and they lead these organizations. And they run on caffeine and and never get any sleep, never get out of to get out of the work cycle. But without those people, where would our city be? Where would our state be? Where would our country be if those people didn't have the courage and the fortitude to really step up to the plate and make it happen?
Yeah, because that's what it takes. It takes courage to do this work. Our partners are in some sensitive spaces and could be rocky with certain opposition that they may have. And a lot of our partners are standing 10 toes down on what they believe,
Yep. 100%. 100%. I mean, that's kind of what we talk about. They number four, and what they do is they lift up marginalized communities and marginalized voices. And nonprofits create platforms for communities who are often left out of the policy making and public conversation. So that's kind of why when we went and had our convening there, we had a couple folks that, and even as I've been out in the community talking, that why should I be advocating to my legislator? Why should I be writing letters? Why should I be going to Madison and knocking on their door? I'm worried about, I'm just using this as a random example. My concern's childcare. Why do I care about going there? Well, there's plenty of reasons, and one of them that I can tell any person that's in a nonprofit right now is everybody in a nonprofit needs money. You need the money to make the things that you feel need to be implemented in the community. To make those happen, you need funding.
Yeah.
And advocating on behalf of yourself and your organization, either at the state, local, or federal level, to get more funding to do the great work and continue the great work you're doing is one of the reasons why you should advocate for on your behalf, or for your organization, or for your cause. Number two is to try to get some policy or some laws changed or made, or even canceled out, that would make your job a little easier. So if we're talking about homelessness, well, let's talk about housing and ways to drive down housing costs. Let's talk about ways to provide homes for people that don't have them or have access to them. We got to talk also about the mental health aspect of this. We got to talk about the substance abuse aspect of this. But changing some of those policies and changing some of those laws, but most importantly, changing the way people think about those issues, is another reason you should go out there and advocate. Is because these policymakers, when they hear your story, when they hear about the work that you're doing, they're inclined to make change because they have the power to do that. They have the power to draft bills, get them passed, get them through legislature, and get them enacted so that it can help our communities out better, can help the state of Wisconsin, can help the city of Milwaukee as well. So yeah, definitely want to make sure that we are out there advocating on our own behalf. Also, we help build bridges across divides. This is something I think you've talked about a little bit, Brian, is about tearing down silos, and building bridges across gaps where folks maybe just come up short sometimes. I want to do this great thing in my community. I just can't because of X, Y, or Z, of this barrier that's in my way. But tearing down those silos and making sure that we're not just working alone, that there's other people out there to help support. There's other people to lift you up. And one of those people, one of those organizations is Wisconsin Voices.
Yeah, it takes some actual force and energy to break silos down. And a lot of that is just getting people into the same spaces. We're not going to agree on everything, but overall, if we're in it for the community and it's a positive move for the community, let's do that. Let's not bring in, and one thing is always is the personal. Don't bring in your personal feelings towards it. If it's going to help the groups or the ones that we're focusing on for this particular event, let's do it. We don't have to we don't have to be at odds over something that's greater than us. Let's go ahead and knock it out, and then after we're done, we can talk whatever, but let's focus on the goal.
How do those conversations look, Brian?
Right. Right. We just and I think sometimes the friction brings a closer relationship. That's a fun part of it as well too, is being able to talk to the folks and then in there and having those differences and then working through those differences and building that relationship off of that too. So I like that as well. We've seen that as well. People become closer in relationship by just having a little friendly squabble, squinly vocal squabble, verbal squabble. And I'm cool with people working it out that way too, long as it's ending in a positive fashion.
Right.
But yeah, being able to come together and not focus on, this is my lane, it's your lane, and you can keep your lane when it comes to your mission. But when we collectively coming together to work something out, we need to, Let's break down the rally
around the cause a little
break
bit.
down the triple, quadruple bulletproof shield and work together.
Right.
And be just looking behind the glass and stuff.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's good stuff right there, Bryan. You know,
it's gotta be genuine talk, man. It can't be fake. You got to be really into it. You know,
yeah.
I can't say this. I can't work doing this. I can't be this work. When I worked in, food share FSET program and all that, like, do you telling people about going back to work or doing what you can to enhance your life on just a small level, because I didn't have all the answers, but I knew from where I was at, I could help. You can't be just saying that and selling folks stuff and then not, we had a guy that I work with, and this could be in any industry. We had a guy who was bull crapping all the time. He would lie and say he did this work and did this work. He lives in Milwaukee. He just was a fraud for what we was doing in the food share program. He's selling fake stories. I was telling my real stories of how I got into where I'm at now, because a lot of people was looking at that job and was like, man, this is cool, man. You helping folks how to train and get back in the workforce, and and it's important. People's feeding people that I've never seen, and then you running up, they running up into me, and I'm meeting their families and stuff outside of work. I'm just hanging out, living my regular life, and everyday clothes, not my suit, blazer, jackets. You helping folks. You got to be genuine, so you can't sell it and talk about this stuff and then just you can, but it doesn't come out the same.
You get sniffed out really quick.
Yeah.
I know
he got called out one time, and oh my god, I'm about to cut you off, Joe. It's just funny because we just talking about people being fake and how you can't be real in your fields that you work in, especially when it pertains to people. He got called out by a guy and put the pressure on. It was funny though, because the guy, pretty much was like, man, you go outside and you act all cool on break, because we had like 15-minute breaks with our groups, and sometimes we go outside and we can relax a little bit and talk to him a little regular, in just a more social, format. And he's like, man, you go outside and you talk like you so cool, and then you get back in here, you be trying to front and put people on. I'm like, there you go, you got called out. If you ever get called out like that, you really showing that you faking the work. Luckily I never been called out for being disingenuous with.
Neither have I. Knock on wood. But yeah, I mean, you're right. And the people that we serve are going to be the first ones to figure it out.
Oh yeah, you get sniffed out by the community quick.
Yeah. They've seen enough of that in their neighborhoods, on the streets, people knocking on their doors saying they're there to help. They know when you're genuine and when you're not.
Yeah.
Yep.
That is true.
There we go.
So, real. They say real eyes. They say, what is it, y'all? Real eyes, something. Realize or something. Realize or something.
Oh, real eyes and realize.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. I think that's it. I probably said it wrong.
Yeah. Well, the last thing with nonprofits and why they're important to the city of Milwaukee is that I think they keep the city going especially with limited resources. I don't know too many nonprofits that work in grassroots, that are grassroots nonprofits, or organizations that don't have to cut corners here and there. Maybe they're buying the cheaper paper for their copy machine. Maybe they're turning the heat way down so that they can save a few bucks, because every penny counts when you run a nonprofit organization. Every penny, and you always want that money to go right back to the folks that need it. You don't want to have to have so much overhead that you're paying your electric and your gas and all these other things, and the money's not going back out into the community where it's intended to go. So, they really keep the city going, and they do it on such a small budget. You think of the city and the state and the country with these massive inflated, but huge budgets.
Yeah.
Some of these nonprofits literally work off a couple $1,000s a year. And they make it go, and they make a real impact in our community. So yeah, they, in my mind, they're the ones that keep this city going, and hats off to every one of them out there that's running a nonprofit that's contributing to the city and to our state and to the people that we serve. So yeah, they're not just helpful, they're essential. They're community infrastructure, trusted messengers, and change agents. And when they are supported, funded, and respected, they help build a Milwaukee where everyone can thrive. And that's going to lead us into our final segment when we get back from the other side of the break. But we got a couple minutes, Bryan. Just your thoughts on what we've went over so far, talking about nonprofits and trying to make a difference together. And that's what it's all about, is coming together and making a difference. So any thoughts before we go to break?
Don't be afraid to step out your comfort zone, and try something that is against the grain of what you usually do in your daily or weekly, monthly schedule. It's okay to come out. Majority of these groups are highly accepting of new people coming in.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so you shouldn't have or feel like you're going to be looked at as an outsider. I mean, even if you do, you know, somebody's probably going to greet you and be like, hey, you know, welcome. If not, you know, really focus on or figuring out where you want to spend that time, and where's a space in the community that's important to you. Like I've said yesterday and last week, you know, you want to see which one fits, you know, your code of whatever. Hey, this is, you know, I got multiple grandkids, a couple of them living in weird situations. You know, I want to advocate for this. You know, I want to advocate for, you know, whoever is important to you and it aligns with the life that you're living at this moment. There's nothing wrong with that.
You have to be passionate about what you do.
Yeah.
I think that's what it comes down to. That's
Yeah.
the, you know, I think I asked
Passion.
you one time, you know, what, I've asked a lot of our guests as well, what keeps you going? What gets you up every day and keeps you motivated to continue to do this great work? And you know, you got to have a passion for the people that you serve and for what you're doing.
Yeah.
Or again, like we said, you're going to be sniffed out pretty quick.
Yeah.
And you're
It's not going to be fun for you.
It's not going to be fun.
You're not going to enjoy the work if you don't, you know, actually have a passion for it. You know, I mean, that's what's been making fun. So, yes, sir.
Oh yeah.
And
That's got a question.
in your line of work and what you've been doing, and I note that, you know, the both of you have years of experience in the field. What have you found is the biggest need of the community? What's the biggest need? Is it food? Is it housing? Is it energy assistance? I mean, what have you found to be a consistent biggest need, if you will, in this community?
For me, just working like through the programs I work for, I've seen it's consistent work and employment training. That's one. I think that right there just helps the community. You know, everybody get to a point where they're actually, you know, learning how to get in the job and maintain that job. But that's from that point. But I think it's all those things together have been the issue. What I've seen, you know, especially working around W-2 and the food share program, it's been a lot of individuals that, you know, definitely need job training and how to maintain.
When you say job training, are you saying skills? Is it the lack of skills?
It's a lack of skills,
or just getting a job.
It's a lack of skills. A lot of people, you'll be surprised, don't even know how to do a lot of the basics on a computer, and they're, you know, millennials. You know, I will run into a lot of that. You know, you just got a lot of people who don't have just a basic understanding of how to put together their resume, not even just like one of the, you know, more detailed resumes. So that was what I was seeing a lot. But if you in that space and you can't build your resume properly, you know, and you got all this work experience, you know, you're gonna get overlooked every time. People thinking, you know, some people were still stuck in, and this was just 7-8 years ago. Some people were still stuck in that space of, you know, I could just walk in and get a job.
Oh yeah. like my dad used to say, you know, I used to go in and just go door to door to every business and see where I could get a job, and then he would just shake my hand and tell me when to show up. Yeah, and it's like it don't work like that anymore. You know, now it's
my granddad
back in the day.
Yeah, my granddad Debo. One time, my granddad was picking me up, and he was just talking about the work I do. He was like, "Man, he's like, you need all this stuff to get a job now." I was like, "Yeah, granddad, you got to have this resume on point." I mean, it's a lot of people with great work experience. It's a lot of great people with work experience in Milwaukee. The economy could be just blown up if we could just get more organizations and companies here that can get more housing and, you know, the people, and we don't have to have so many people dependent on the system too. So yeah.
All right. Well, we're going to go to break real quick. This is Be a Voice with Wisconsin Voices. You're on WNOV 860 AM, 106.5 FM. We'll be right back.
AURN News.
I'm Jamie Jackson. President Trump has renewed his criticism of Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell, calling for immediate interest rate cuts despite the Fed's independence. In a Truth Social post Monday morning, the president cited lower energy costs and food prices as evidence that inflation is no longer a concern, writing, quote, "There is virtually no inflation." Trump went on to characterize Powell as, quote, "Mr. Too Late" and a major loser, while claiming the Fed chair had previously timed rate cuts to help his political opponents in the last election. Markets reacted swiftly to the president's comments. Wall Street saw steep declines throughout Monday's trading, with the dollar falling to a 3-year low against major currencies. This escalation comes as the administration continues to navigate economic challenges stemming from its trade policies, particularly its trade war with China. For AURN News, I'm Jamie Jackson.
Here's your updated forecast. We'll see a few spotty rain showers at times here for today with partial sunshine developing and a high in the mid-50s. Winds out of the southeast around 5 to 10 miles per hour. Then for tonight, mostly cloudy, a low near 43. By Wednesday, a chance for some showers and thunderstorms, cloudy high of 62 degrees. And Thursday, a slight chance for rain, cloudy high around 57. Friday, chance for rain showers, high 54. I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki on AM 860, The Voice.
Remembering what we stand for. At Wisconsin Voices, we remember what we stand for. Check out our movement dedicated to empowering citizens and shaping the future. Engage with us on our website, social media, and podcast to make a difference. Visit wisconsinvoices.org, explore our events calendar, like and subscribe to us on social media, listen to recent podcasts and radio, and subscribe to our email and newsletter. Amplify your voice and be a voice today.
Hey Milwaukee, tune in to Be a Voice Radio, discussing the latest local and national community and civic topics that matter to you the most. Every Monday and Tuesday at 11 a.m. on 860 WNOV and 106.5 FM. You're listening to Wisconsin Voices, Be a Voice Radio. Follow us at BAWI Voice and learn more at wisconsinvoices.org.
860 AM, 106.5 FM. WNOV, The Voice.
We are live after, and that was a great question after that break. And shout out to Debo for that question. He was just asking us some of the needs or things that we've seen in the community, and just having our little conversation. Joe, what did you say during the break?
Yeah, I didn't. You had a great answer, Brian, and mine's really not far from yours. And my answer to what's the most pressing need in the community that we've seen in our experience, and I would have to say, it's just the lack of basic human needs for people. And it comes down to food, water, healthcare, clothing, housing. And when you really break it down with some of these folks, and every case is individual, but it ain't just a one prong approach. Like I said earlier, when we were talking, is that, some of these folks are suffering mental illness, or they suffer with substance abuse addiction. And on top of that, they're homeless. On top of that, they don't have any food to eat. On top of that, they're battling cancer. So, it's tough for just people, regular folk that have money, that have a job, that have insurance, that have a roof over their head. But it's exceptionally tough for these folks that face other hurdles as well.
Joe, just to piggyback off of what you were saying, you have some people that's dealing with substance abuse. And they use the substance to get away from reality. And once that high come down, then they go right back to that substance because they're running from the reality. On top of dealing with everyday life, you got the reality of, okay, I'm struggling, but you might have a medical issue that you can't get taken care of because you don't have insurance.
Yep.
So now you're just looking at life like, you know what? I give up.
Yeah.
And seeing that, though, you see people that just, they give up on life.
Mhm.
So they don't even try again because they feel like that there's no way out of this, problem or situation that I'm in. So I'm just going to deal with it the best way I know how to deal with it. And you see a lot of that. Because I think that with some of these people, they're crying out for help, but they don't know how and where to get the help from.
Yep. Or where to even start.
Or where to start.
Like you said, you have all these problems. You have these mounting problems. Like, oh my God, I'm homeless. I have nothing to eat. I have a mental illness. I have substance abuse. You start piling those things on, and it feels like you're in this deep hole that you can never get out of.
Exactly, because once you get something to eat, you might have satisfied your stomach, but you still need somewhere to live.
Right.
You still got a medical issue. You still got whatever else going on. So you might satisfy one, but you still got the other. So it's almost like a give and take. So you can satisfy, okay, I got this issue taken care of, but now I got 93 other issues I got to deal with.
Right. And that's the complexity, I think, of a lot of nonprofits, especially the ones that offer services. In our community. It's just it's so tough to assess, when someone comes to you and says, I have this one need. Well, it ain't just that one need. It's a plethora of needs. And so we need, they almost need a plan. Like, hey, first we're going to take care of your hunger, and then we're going to take care of your housing. Then we're going to, it's about nonprofits and our government should be about taking care of people.
And you know what, Joe? Looking in the city of Milwaukee, you have a lot of abandoned buildings, a lot of open space that maybe there's some type of program that can be created or some type of funding that you can get. You can get a couple of these buildings, house some of these people for a year, give them some type of luncheon pad that you can put them back on the path of greatness, because we all got greatness in us. It's about finding that greatness.
Yep.
And with all of these buildings and things like that, there's no way. And I just think, this is just me, maybe I'm naive, I don't know, but with you or the city or whatever giving away millions of dollars in Powerball and all this other stuff, maybe there's some way that we can take some type of monetary gain, create some type of avenues for these people that are lost, put them in a situation that they can see hope. Because if you can see hope, then you can run towards it and grab it. It's in your grasp. But if it's so far out that I can't reach it, I'm going to give up.
Right.
And that's how a lot of people are at.
Yep. And it's, it's not just a Milwaukee problem either.
Yeah.
This is in the small towns as well. When you're having the homelessness, the substance abuse, you're having, a plethora of different problems in the small towns, as now too. We used to just see it, think of it as the big cities, but I come from a small town and I can tell you we have the same problems there, just not on the scale that we do here in Milwaukee. I mean, there's still the homeless person that walks down the street and is using drugs or that's sleeping on the back of someone's porch, or it's still there. And it doesn't matter where you live. You can only turn a blind eye for so long until you have to really face the problem. So that's why it's important to get out there. One, vote. Vote your conscience. Number two, be informed. Number three, get involved. Get involved and get linked up with some of these volunteer organizations, some of these nonprofits. And if you ever want to, some more information about Wisconsin Voices, feel free to reach out to us. You can check us out on our website, wisconsinvoices.org. We're on Facebook. I think we're on Instagram too. And
we got Instagram.
So check out what we're doing and see what's going on.
Holla at us. Make sure, and just tap in. You already know where we at. We at the office. Check us in, see what you got going on, see what's going on in the community, and then we'll be back next week. We're going to be working hard to get you some guests in here.
Absolutely.
And you just won't have to hear me and Joe the whole time. So I think this is a great week of shows, and thanks, Joe, for bringing all that great info. Again, you are on Be a Voice Radio with Wisconsin Voices, WNOV 860 AM, 106.5 FM. See y'all next week.